No sound, no sound.
Okay, let's test it.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Can you hear me? Still no sound? I can see my sound here. Woo! Yes, there we are.
Sorry, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So let's do this again. I'm Virginia. I'm super happy to be here today and to be a part of this Pathwaves community. And yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I have experienced vocal production over the past couple of years, and little tips and tricks, and what helped me a great deal performing my vocals live, but also how to get the best result in the studio. I cover some basics here. For example, just always warm up your vocal cords, because you don't want to damage them, and especially if you work with someone in the studio, it's also nice if you're already like warmed up, and you don't have to take takes and takes and takes and takes to actually get the best out of your voice. So always warm your vocal cords, don't damage them. There's also a thing about posture, which helped me a lot also when I perform live. Look at me sitting like this here. Well, actually, that's not how I'm doing it when I'm on stage. So keep in mind to don't cut your airflow, right? So you won't be seeing anyone from the big stars singing like ah. So that's not really helpful. Try and keep this straight and let the air flow. So that's your posture. Diction, pronunciation, especially when you're non-native speaker, and most of my lyrics are in English, but I always have to remind myself to pronounce the word endings. Usually when I sing and I'm in the zone, I tend to get really sloppy, so I have to remind myself, or get reminded from my studio partner in this case, to really sing the full word, because in the heat of the moment, you know, it will all get a little bit loose anyways. So, but it's good for the listeners to actually understand what I'm singing about. At least that's what I'm hoping. So pronunciation and word endings. Sing it like you mean it, really. And live your lyrics. I worked with a vocal coach for a long time, and when I started working with her, she made me recite my lyrics, or any lyrics actually, like the ones I wrote, but also lyrics of songs that I wanted to work on with her from other artists. And she said like, yeah, just recite them to me, you know, no music, no singing. And this felt really uncomfortable at first, but after a while I understood why. She said to me, you know, I want to feel what you're singing about, and transport the message to me, but not have the music do all that, or you're singing, but like what's the actual emotion behind the lyrics. And so I had to get out of my comfort zone, and but it was really helpful. She told me to, like, if it wasn't my own lyric, to like create a story, create pictures for myself, so I wouldn't forget the lyrics when performing live or in the studio. Like to think ahead. I'm like, okay, this is this emotion, or like I imagined being outside and it was rainy or sunny or whatever. So I had a particular storyline for myself going along with the lyrics, so I would not forget them.
So I'm just going to dive in here.
Yeah.
I've got a question coming in, and I think we might do it a little bit informally like this. Is that
sure,
cool? So it was a good question, and I thought it was a good one. It's Maya is asking the question, and
Maya.
It's on the topic that you're talking about. It's
Yes.
Maya says, I'd love to hear how she keeps her voice relaxed and how she deals with or avoids tension. So like your emotional not impacting your voice, I guess?
Like when I'm doing this or when I'm actually singing. It's while recording, I I try to keep a certain distance to the microphone, so you don't get to hear all of my like when I'm getting too close to the microphone, it would actually completely change the level, like my input level and stuff. And but like in general, well, I'm pretty excited when I'm singing, and I understand the question, but I'm not quite sure how to completely answer that. Um, I'm in my zone. I try not to think about anything else really, and perform my, or like live my lyrics rather than perform them in that way, right? So I'm not quite sure if that answers your question, but like distance to the microphone, to not be like oh, because this is definitely something you will hear on the recording, which is hard to process afterwards. Yes, like sing it like you mean it, live your lyrics. So that actually helped me a great deal to really create my own story, and actually transport the feeling to the listener. Because no one wants to see a performance where a singer is like, I am so crazy, tired, moody, happy, and you're like, I don't feel anything really, what are they singing about? So really, really live or relive the moment that you wrote the lyrics in, to actually transport that to your listeners. Emotion and passion and singing. Obviously, perfection isn't human. So for myself, sometimes I'm singing a take and I'm like, oh, wow, this is the mood. This is the atmosphere that I want to create. This sounds amazing. But then, it might not be that I hit every note perfectly. I try again a couple of times to actually sing it perfectly, but then also get that emotion and that mood and that feeling that I had this particular take before. And sometimes I just rather go for the one that is a little bit imperfect, but actually transports the feeling, has the feeling. Um, One takes can be awesome sometimes. Just sing through the whole song and see what it does to you, what it does to the production in general. To just try out things and don't be shy and don't be afraid. I mean, you can always re-sing it, obviously, but sometimes like a one take thing can also be like, wow. Um, Passion and singing, yes, like don't forget to have fun in the studio. Don't think too much about. I tend to do that sometimes. I'm like, okay, I need to hit every note perfectly and yeah, feel what I wrote a couple months back, and I was in a bad place or in a good place, and that's way too much. I have to keep reminding myself, go in there, like have fun, just go for it. Don't overthink it. Get to know your voice. Find your own sound. Just be, yeah, just be. I know now what kind of sound I like for my voice, but I always try new things, especially when I work, when I'm collaborating with someone. In the past years, most of the time there was Steffi, and she's really good with getting me out of my comfort zone, and we try different tempi, and I change the rhythmic, and sometimes I sing double time or a little more laid back, and it's actually quite fun to try things that you wouldn't normally do. Um, just be like, yeah, playful with trying out new things, and get to know your voice. I mean, that's also with different microphones, right? Like, find out. I mean, I know how it's weird to go to like a music store and go into that room and without any music, just like singing ad libs and ooh, yeah, and try out all these different microphones. But you will immediately hear what kind of microphone suits you. It's there's a big difference between the brands and stuff, and just try it out and see what actually comforts and is soothing to your voice and the sound you like for yourself, because it's really a thing of taste, I would say. Microphony, I guess we all know about that. Yeah, as I just said, find out what kind of microphone you like. While recording, obviously, leave some headroom to not clip and use a pop shield. And as I mentioned before, like keep a certain distance to the mic, so you can also, because none of us we won't sing like this, like ha 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 ha. We will always move, but so you don't change the levels too much through the movement. So that's something to keep in mind, I'd say. It was always a dream of mine to have a Neumann U87, and now I have a Neumann U87 AI, and this is just something that I've from experience. I had the chance to sing through a couple of like beautiful Brauner microphones and different Neumann, and this is I like my voice with it, so I bought one for myself. And when I'm traveling, for example, it's hard to take all of that gear with me, and of course I wouldn't want to bring this like expensive microphone in my trolley. So I'm using a Sennheiser MK4 digital, which has a built-in Apogee sound card. So that's less equipment even for me to carry, and has a little nice stand. So for traveling, that's an amazing option for me to record something. When I'm in a hotel room and stuff, has like a nice little pop shield on top. For live, I love to work with the Shure SM58, which is pretty classic. I guess that's pretty standard. Yeah, are there any questions? Cool. So I'm going further to like recording chain. Compression and effect inside or outside of the box. It's there's so many options, and what I'm telling you today is really just one of a million, and something that works for me personally. What I like, sounds that I like, effect devices that I like. I also like trying out new things. Again, with Steffi, some of you know that she's a big gear freak, so there's always new things for us to try out, still maintaining my own personal, Virginia sound, or like there's certain things I will show you later that I will always do in the process, and that kind of itself creates my sound. And using different effects or compressors just adds to it in a way, and it's also fun for us to try new things and play around with it. but yeah, it kind of, I know how to make me sound like myself, or like how I want to sound. So there's many different ways. For example, for the Virginia album we wrote in 2016, we used a channel strip of Universal Audio, the LA 610 MK, with and Sonic DP4, which is a digital effect processor, and just like try different presets and stuff until we had something that we really liked, and always recorded one dry track and one wet, so we would have both in case, like, in the end we choose not to go with that specific effect device or whatever. And for the last EP we did last November, which is the Steffi X Virginia project, we basically, Steffi bought this Eventide Ultra Harmonizer H3000, and we were just like playing around with this, and again recorded a dry and a wet track. And I can show you a little bit more about this in my Logic. There's questions.
So we got some questions. So maybe
sure.
Before we get into the into your DAW, there's a few questions on gear. Mm-hmm. So Gabriella is asking, which audio interface do you use when traveling? Would Apollo Twin be a good option? ?
Yes, of course. It's I personally haven't worked with it, but what is, like, especially for myself, I'm happy if I don't have to carry around too much gear on top of my DJ equipment and my vocal effect that I use while I'm DJing and singing my live vocals. So anything really that's like a portable device and is easy for you to use would work. And for example, the Sennheiser MK4, which I use, the digital microphone, has an Apogee built-in sound card. But of course, like, Apollo Twin is...
Cool. Okay, nice one. Thanks for that question, Gabriella. We have another question from Kotoye, which so she's curious about voice effects, and we're going to get to that in a little bit, so we'll hold on that. And also, Slim Girl Fat is saying, how do you personally begin your FX chain? Do you have your own presets? So we'll hold off that as well until we get into the DAW. So there's one question about live sound. So Maya's saying, which vocal effects do you use live?
That's actually a really good question, because this is like a never-ending search for me, and trying out new things. And there's like this DJ project that I have where I'm actually using Boss pedals. It's the VC20, if I'm not mistaken, is that red device. Which is like a multifunctional effect. So I have a reverb, a delay, and like a very basic vocal setup, which I use for my DJ sets. And live, it's we're always looking for like the best effect device, and we're constantly trying new things. But like the Ensoniq DP4 or DP2 are like amazing devices. But yeah, this is again, it's actually a really good question, because it's like a never-ending search.
Cool. Okay, then we got one more. I mean, I guess that's also the fun of it, isn't it? To kind of like play around with it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And find new things. And then there's a colleague, a friend that tells you about this new thing, or like probably a very old thing that's from the, I don't know, late 80s or 90s or something. And then you're like, wow, amazing, let's try this. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there's one more question before we move on, and it might be a hard one. I don't know if it's easy to answer. If I would find it really hard to answer. It's a great one though. See how you go, Ginny. How do you choose the right words to sing above the music?
Yeah. I tell you a little secret. I would say I am the master of fake English vocals. I usually just have these while getting these while recording guide vocals. Basically, I'm just going like, yeah, and you got me from the fine innocent friend, and somehow sometimes it really sounds like English, and somehow sometimes I'm really lucky, and it actually the flow of the word already creates the melody, and sometimes I'm like, bam, okay, intuitively I already said the right thing, like this word needs to be in the lyric, and then I build a story. It probably is like a really strong word, like something I'm like, wow, bam, and then I create the story around it. Other times that's actually not very helpful, because then I'm stuck with like a particular sounding part/word, and I try to figure it out, and I try to find a word to like an actual word, real English word, to substitute, and it's hard, and then sometimes I even have to rewrite the vocal, because I just can't find anything that really fits, and but yeah, sometimes I'm already being so in the I don't know, the music already transports something to me, where I have like a subconsciously an idea in my head or something I want to say, and then I'm like, wow, this actually perfectly falls into place.
We've got some, just to fill you in, because Ginny can't see the chat, everyone. We've got everyone saying, oh my God, me too. Oh, it's so good to know. Poppy says, Pilgrim says, it's good to know that other people do this. I have a million voice notes like that.
Yeah.
And then Maya's saying, oh my God, me too. And Anna says, same, ha ha ha. And then Mahana also is saying same. Okay, so cool. Yeah. Everyone's in the same boat. Nice one.
Yeah.
All right, so cool. we'll thanks for the questions, everyone. Now there's the questions about Ginny's vocal effects and her sound. So I think she's going to get into that section in a minute. So those of you we haven't answered your questions, we'll get there. All right. Okay, see ya. Back to Ginny.
All right, so basically that actually brings me to my chain and my effects. I'm going to quickly show it here on the like with the little bullet points here. So I like a lot of doubles and a lot of harmonies. Those are already effects for me. This is because I like how it adds to my voice, how it kind of, I do a lot of layers of doubles. I have a lot of mid and high frequency in my voice. So usually what I do is I record my main vocal 3 to 5 times, and then I put an octave lower and do the same process again, like 3 to 5 times, depends on how big the instrumental is, or how big the vocal, like all of my vocals should sound in the end. And then I have a harmony that could be, it depends on the mood really, This is something I do quite intuitively. Could be a third, could be a fifth, could be both. So this again is a thing of taste, I would say, and something that needs to suit the type of music, you know, and the mood you want to create with the music. So for me, singing doubles is one part of my effect chain, harmonies as well. Then I'm using an EQ. I'm using de-esser. I'm going to show you all of that later on in my DAW. I'm using compression. I'm using delay and reverb. Sometimes if I want to be, if I want to create maybe a more modern sound, I use an auto-tune. There's all sorts of stuff that you could actually, you know, play around and add. But first of all, I'm doing the doubles, and that's something that's really important for me. Not only to create more texture and to give my vocals more on the low end, but the whole doubles and harmony thing is it's important for me to get it right. And of course, you will always have a little, you know, like with the consonants here and there, or like minuscule timing. The timing will be a little bit different. But what I really try, I listen to my main vocal, to my main track, like the one I choose as, and going from there, to try and sing on top of it as like precise as I can. It's easier in the end to don't have any phasing or flanging. And I'd also learn a lot from it, because when I'm on stage or performing with other artists, and I'm not singing the main vocal, for example, not singing the main voice, I know, okay, they're telling me like, okay, you sing the third, or just double, or you know, and I know how I sound. I know where to sing, and because these days it's also, I think, very popular to just get your doubles and harmonies from a plugin, right? Maybe I'm very classic in that approach, but it's just how I really like it, and it's also, again, a thing of taste. Like if you want to have your stuff and your music and your vocal sound very artificial, or I mean, you can still do that with my vocals, right? Like play around with it and in a post-production. But this is my classic approach, and how I like to do it, and how I think I sound the best personally. So yeah.
So, hey, so we've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
So let's check them out. Okay, so we've got Aline is asking, what are the treatments that you apply to your doubles? So is it the same as your lead vocals, or is it different, I guess?
The doubles, like I'm not copying it, obviously. I'm just like singing the same part really 3 to 5 times, or however, like how many times I want it or need it, or I think would suit my song. I don't copy it, because it would just make it louder, and then again you have this like kind of, you know, it doesn't add anything to the song for me, or to my vocal. So I really re-record all of my doubles.
Okay, cool, nice one, thank you. Now, Slim Girl Fat is saying, when you do doubles, do you leave the instrumental in, or do you leave your main vocal in as a solo? So do you sing to your vocal, or do you sing to the instrumental?
Yeah. Actually, I do a little bit of both. Sometimes it's I definitely listen to it, listen and re-listen to it, maybe just with a click, and to be like really, okay, so my intonation is like this or like that. Then I listen to it again with the instrumental, and sometimes it's hard to get it at first, and I'm like, oh, I have the first part, but then the last part. So sometimes well, but for the recording process, I actually do it with the instrumental to get, in some sort of vibe.
Cool, thank you for that. All right, now one final question before we let you carry on, and that is, I guess this is just your opinion on this. I think it's an interesting question. Gabriella is saying, I like raw authenticity that comes with a recording at home, but I was told that it's better when you re-record the vocals in a great studio with great gear to give your best to recreate the initial. Is there more there? The initial stuff, yeah. So basically, the question before that, I'm just catching, is what do you think of authentic vocal takes in the moment at home versus recording vocals again in a great commercial studio? What's your experience of that been, I guess?
Yeah, again, that's a matter of taste. I I have this little, I once had a vocal recorded, again, like my fake English guide vocals, and I sent it over to Steffi, and we were working on this track. So she was going further with the arrangement, while I was writing lyrics and actually re-recording the final vocals, and I sent it over to Steph, or like I put it in the arrangement that I had, and I sent it over, and she was like, what is this? Like, where is the atmosphere? Where is this, like, it was so on point, the guide vocal, basically, that almost sounded like English, was so on point. And what I was doing with the vocal that I re-recorded in like the perfect conditions, or like almost perfect conditions, was just not having it. So we actually choose to go for the guide vocals, to be honest. No one so far realized it. So and what I heard, for example, from Matthew Herbert, he said, I think it was when he was recording something with Roger Murphy a couple years back, and he's like, if there's like an ambulance driving by and it's on the recording, then it is on the recording. It's just like, a momentum, and this was like the situation we were recording the vocal in. So I think there's nothing like, if you like the sounds that are on your recording, can be charming. So there's no rules for that.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of insight here on a track called Internal Bleeding, which is from the Steffi X Virginia project. And okay, I'm gonna put on my headphones as well. I'm just gonna play you the first verse here with the instrumental. Okay, I'm gonna go with, hold on. So this is how it's supposed to be. And now I'm gonna solo the whole first verse for you with all of the effects that we used. Just a second here. So here you go. It came alive when we're riding on the high. It came alive when we're giving it a try.
It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
And just to come back to this last question, so here I recorded the vocals in the same room as Steffi was sitting, and I obviously had my headphones really loud, so you can hear that on the recording. Like, but you know, since it's like it's on the same place in the song as it was recorded, and there is no it just adds to it. It's like it's an effect. So it really depends on whether you want to have your vocals really, really clean or not. So in this case, I don't mind, you know, but this again, like everyone needs to find out for themselves what works for them. You can still hear me, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna take off all of the effects that you see here and just give you the plain and unprocessed vocal.
It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try.
I'm gonna try to like, okay, we have main.
It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try.
So this is how many times I've basically recorded the main voice, and then I have two high voices like here.
It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try.
Oh, you didn't hear me there. Okay, so okay, I'm back.
So we've got some cool questions happening.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so hang on a sec. What have we got? So we've got okay, Sarah is asking, do you pan your doubles to create a fat stereo sound, or do you keep them all in the middle?
Look at this.
Can you show the mixer view maybe?
Is yeah. Oops, here. Yeah. Hold on, where are they? What I do is I don't pen them here. They're like, where's the first verse? Hold on, sorry. Here, yeah. I don't pen them. They're a little different in volume, and well, later on, like basically in the end of my chain, I used the little micro shifter from Sound Toys, which basically spreads and widens the vocal. But I'm gonna show that to you in a bit. So I don't usually pen them. So I don't. Is that? Yeah. Sorry. Hold on. Here. They are different in volume. Because, for example, the high vocals, like the high voice, I don't necessarily need it really loud. It just needs to add a little bit, like, you know, almost not to hear. It's just makes the whole vocal a bit brighter and thicker. So it would be weird if it would be too loud. So I mean, the voices and the different harmonies and even the doubles are different in volume. So I probably have one main and one main effect track that are the same volume, as you can see here. Like, can you see the fader on the left side? So. And then the two other main vocals and tracks are like a little bit lower in volume, and then there comes the high one, which is even lower in volume. Yes, that's another question.
So one other question from Maya is saying, can you show us the sends?
Yes, I can. So first of all, I would like to show you, as I said before, I have very sharp S's and T's, so I'm de-essing quite a heavy bit. So all of your DAWs have a de-esser, so play around with it. There's also like great tutorials on how to use each specific de-esser of your choice or of your DAW. I'm using a FabFilter EQ. And then again, you know, you can either cut out some frequencies or reflections or noise to some extent of your recording room. That also depends on how you would have your vocal sound in the end. So I can also play this to see if this, hold on, without it. Is there another question? No, okay.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
So this one is still pretty delicate, but you will hear a big difference with the compression coming in now.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
Now comes the second compression, the second compressor I use. So this is also, again, Waves CLA, so it's like the classic LA 76 and LA 2A compression. Hold on. First without, the first one without the second.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
So I choose those as inserts, and now I'm coming to the sound effects. I like a nice reverb. I used a Valhalla vintage verb for this one. Oh, sorry. So here we go again with the sound effect.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
Okay, and second, I used the Echo Boy, which is also Sound Toys, and just like a classic analog delay. Not even with a very high feedback here, and also not so high in mix. Listen to this here.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
So it's very, very subtle feedback also on the delay. And I have the little micro shifter. I'm going to open that one for you. So basically, yeah, the micro shifter makes the vocal sound richer and widens it, and I really love that one. The little micro shift is amazing. Like I'm gonna show you the first part of the verse again without it, and then with it.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try.
Sorry, I now did exactly the the opposite. I wanted to. Okay. So now it's off, and then I'm gonna turn it on.
It came alive and we're riding on the hay. Came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
I really love that one. And last but not least, the A trigger. In this case, usually this is, I use it more for drums, but in this case, I think we just were like really playful, so we used a trigger, which is also like amazing fun thing to play with. Hold on.
It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight. It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
Okay, and now I'll let you hear it again with the backtrack.
It came alive and we're riding on a high. It came alive and we're giving it a try. It came alive as we didn't try to hide. It came alive as we're holding on so tight.
And I'm going to take off all of the effects again to just show you the difference one more time. But again, as I told you before, like even as you can, I really try to be very precise with my doubles and my harmonies, and it makes it so much easier with the vocal processing in the end, to just like have your basses like really tight, or as tight as possible. So that works for me, at least. Yeah. Are there any more questions at this point?
Hello. There are a couple of questions. There are a couple of hard ones. There's one from Maya. Is how do you compromise making a mix sound lovely and wide with plugins like Microshift whilst making sure that it still works in mono?
Well, that's maybe a good question to.
But maybe that's a mix engineer question.
Yeah. I would say I would rather pass this on to Jane. But I mean, you know, I'm here for another hour to answer some questions, and we could dive into it a little deeper. So just stay in the chat, and we can, you know, find some more answers for you.
So that just to qualify that, Pathwaves participants, we're going to finish up here in like, you know, a couple of minutes, 10 minutes or something. And then, or whenever Ginny's finished, like, yeah. And then we're going to, Ginny will go to her Zoom ID, which is in the Pathwaves booklet. And then any additional kind of questions, maybe some of you want to play your own tracks and stuff like that. Ginny's going to be around until 2 o'clock on Zoom for more discussion with the Pathwaves participants. People that have joined the stream that are not part of Pathwaves, we will be putting up some of this Zoom conversation at a later date for you to check it out as well. But I mean, we're not finished yet, just to let you know. Ginny's got more to talk about, and we're going to just kick back into that now. Okay, see ya.
Yeah, about like just little things about vocal arrangement. When I do collaboration, I love to actually lay out first ideas in my own studio. So I love working together in a studio. Don't get me wrong. It's just I like to get a first impression of the vibe or the idea when I'm in my own environment, and yeah, feel like secure and I know my stuff, and maybe like a new even after all those years, sometimes like a new environment can be a little bit intimidating. So I love to like have a first approach in my own environment. And what I do is I ask my partner to send me the full instrumental. I work in Logic, as you could see before. So if my partner works with a different DAW, then I just ask them to give me a couple, like not one, not just the instrumental or like a bounce of the track, but maybe ask them already to bounce an extra stem for the piano line or the guitar line or whatever, so I can mute it when I feel that I need some space for my vocal to work. So I ask for the instrumental, and then I, as you saw, just like on my DAW, I create individual stack tracks for the verse, bridge, chorus, ad-libs. And this makes it really easy for me to like shift and move things around, and to maybe try the chorus in a part of the song or the track. Depends really on what genre you're working in, whether it's a track or a song. And try out the chorus part, maybe where I first thought the verse would work. So it just gives me the possibility to work really quick and just like shift blocks around and try and listen to what really works in the playback. What I also experienced over the past years working, for example, with electronic music producers who themselves don't sing or haven't worked with vocalists before, but maybe worked sample-based, they will probably have their playback, like their instrumental, pretty full. You know, there's not so much space for your vocals to find a nice gap or find a nice place to work in. So that's why I ask for the instrumental. I can quickly also mute and unmute percussions or other leads, you know, because in this case, then if you work with a vocalist, that's the lead. So I can mute and unmute stuff very quickly, and yeah, try out things. Find gaps for my vocals. So if you, for example, if there's like a drum roll or like a drum lick or like a fill that keeps repeating, I try to find the gap when it's actually not playing, or when the string is not playing, or the other string might actually give me a nice bed to sing with. And it's a matter of trying things out. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, what I do is individual stack tracks in order to be able to shift and move things around, have the instrumental to be able to mute and unmute stuff very quickly, and make space and for the vocals. And yeah, last but not least, when working with someone, it's we're all looking for the best result, right? So it's nice to actually work together, and it doesn't matter. I mean, music is so fluent, and it's not about, okay, you can only do this and you cannot give me tips for singing or whatever. It's just like sometimes I sing a track or like a and I'm like, oh my God, this sounded amazing and it's so good. And then my studio partner just says like, I don't know, I you know, before it was better, or I don't feel that melody or whatever. And it's since singing is really personal to me, sometimes I'm like, but I mean, I just need to remind myself of like forgetting all of that, because it's really just about like what works best in the song and with the music. And obviously the studio partner will also help you with that, and has an ear that might be a little bit more objective in that moment, to kind of create something that's actually, yeah, like nice, great, and outstanding, hopefully in the end. So it's also a learning process for myself, because I also have a big ego, which sometimes I have to, like, you know, leave outside the studio door in order to get, in order to like have fun, and also like I'm learning every time I'm in the studio with someone. Either I've worked with them before or I work with them for the first time. There's always something to learn, and always it's always, yeah, it's great and it's fun, and
So we have like a couple more questions. Maybe we just take these 2 questions and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, sure.
So we have kind of off topic, but it's a cool question anyway. Kotoye is saying, just a technical question, how do you deal with feedback when you sing live in a club?
So I have my my effect device. I go through my DJ mixer, and I have my headphones on and turn the booth monitors down. Then I don't get a feedback. Sometimes when there's like a front of house, but that's mostly when I do just like a very short performance or something. And they know that I'm singing, because usually what I do in a 2 or 3 hour DJ set is really spontaneous, right? So I want to be in control of my vocals, and I use a Shure SM58 with like a on and off switch. So I take down a fader, but I also switch off the microphone when I don't use it. But it just like it's faster for me to just like pop, and then maybe, you know, mix or something. But I go through my DJ mixer, turn down the booth monitors, and just like hear my vocals and the track that is playing on my headphones.
Nice one. Cool. Thank you for that. Okay, and then final question from Sarah is perhaps off topic, but what do you find is the best plugin for vocal distortion? Do you work with distortion much with your voice?
I myself don't work so much with vocal distortion, but again, the Soundtoys package has an amazing distortion. I don't recall the name just now. Hold on, because I'm
Decapitator.
Yeah, Decapitator. Yeah, exactly. And it gets pretty rough. It was really nice. But yeah, I usually don't use so much distortion. So I'm sorry if this is the only tip I can give you here. Cool. So yeah, I hope you had some fun with this. I definitely had, and yeah, looking forward to answering some more questions. And yeah, this was fun. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and see you later. Have fun.